What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this Friday night. Can't believe it's Friday night already. October 21st, 2022. It is about 7:53 p.m. 7:54 p.m. California time here along the West Coast. Latest earthquake shows a 3.7. Some deeper movement happening here just south of the Philippines area and into the Indonesia islands there. Quite a bit of uptick, and also some movement out into the Northern California area. Man, does that thing spin pretty fast. All right, let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here from the USGS. I'm going to start up here in Northern California, getting a little bit of activity outside of the Eureka area and the Fortuna region. This earthquake activity stretching down there at about 22 kilometers or so. Now, these are some subduction zone earthquakes. There are some surface fractures up here at the surface zone, far as these fault systems go, but this activity here is well below those at about 22 kilometers deep into the Cascadia subduction zone. And earlier today, also seen actually this was from yesterday, a 1.7. But these two here within the last couple hours. I want to jump right on the tremor map here real quick tonight and verify what we have. We got about 39 epicenters of tremor into northern, actually outside of the Vancouver Island ranges there, and also into the Oregon region. Nothing in Northern California. But like I say, we're starting to see a little bit of buildup and stress straining the upper portions of the slippage area where the tremor takes place. So just kind of keeping an eye on that. The rest of Washington and Oregon look pretty quiet. And let me double check, make sure this is the all magnitudes map here from the USGS, and they're not reporting anything. They've just completely stopped reporting stuff up there. Looks like all set up for the weekend already. No reporting necessary. Movement around the Clear Lake volcanic field. That's been pretty active over the past couple days or so. The last 7 days of activity shows us about 400 earthquakes, including a couple threes in there as well a couple days ago. Pretty good sequence of earthquakes there in the area. Go back here to the all magnitudes map. A little bit of movement outside of the Richmond area. That one occurring earlier this morning time frame. Also off the coast of Santa Cruz earlier this morning as well, seeing a 2.5. Don't see too much activity out here on the this little fault system that runs off the coast. Kind of runs off of the San Andreas fault here out into the Pacific, just west of Salinas there. Don't really see too much activity, but looks like a little small microquake there earlier, and some movement across the slipping region, the slipping segment, I should say. Creeping section is the correct wording there. San Andreas Fault creeping zone, creeping section. A couple small microquakes. Nothing major going on around Long Valley supervolcano. Still seeing some activity across the Garlock fault zone. That's probably about the busiest I've seen it in quite some time. That's going to be the shear fault system that stretches across here. Opposite, somewhat different than these parallel type fault systems here that run northwest to southeast. This kind of runs from east to west in that fashion. Kind of extends over here as well near Death Valley. This segment right here, I believe, is set up for a pretty good sized earthquake. And of course down here along the southern segment of the San Andreas Fault as well, set up for at least an 8.1. But either way, seen some activity there today. Just some small microquakes, a 1.2, 1.4, and also just south of the Ridgecrest, a 2.0 on that Garlock Fault zone. Not a whole lot going on around the Salton City area or the Salton Sea. Just some sporadic microquakes across the area, San Jacinto Fault zone, and also off of the Imperial Fault, seeing a couple small microquakes as well. Throughout the Utah area, still getting in on some activity up here. Although this looks like it came to a halt earlier this morning. We haven't seen anything throughout the afternoon or evening time frame. Things abruptly come to a stop there. Yellowstone National Park. Let's go ahead and check out the latest overview here of the Yellowstone National Park area. And there's a couple small specks of earthquakes in here. Kind of have to look closely, and within the shadow of the wind, I believe this is some type of wind event going on up there, making this interference, this environmental noise here in the seismographs. But there's a couple small earthquakes there listed. Kind of hard to see, and throughout the morning time frame too. So this is still an ongoing event there at Yellowstone, with a couple earthquakes listed up on the map. Not a whole lot, just mostly microquakes in that area. Pecos, Texas. Had a couple earthquakes earlier this afternoon and morning time frame. The largest one looks to be a 3.7 just outside of Pecos, Texas. Oklahoma, a little spotty out there. One earthquake around the New Madrid zone. Got a 1.7. That one coming in late last night. About ready to drop off that 24-hour map here. Movement around the Puerto Rico area about the same. Not a whole lot of new uptick. Just some microquakes throughout the evening and earlier this afternoon time frame. Down here off the coast of Panama, still seeing some aftershock sequences there following the 6.7 that struck over there a couple days ago. So far, it looks like only a couple fours there, but I'm sure there's got to be more earthquakes than that. But then again, USGS not showing all of them, right? Some movement around the South America region, it looks like. Nothing major. In fact, the last earthquake was this morning underneath the Argentina area at about 271 kilometers deep for that 4.4. The big island of Hawaii. Let's see what we got out here. Lighten up a little bit. Mauna Loa and down here around the Pahala area. All seeing some activity. A couple earthquakes here within the last hour or so. No major unrest. Just still seeing these earthquakes there popping off in the swarm. Still kind of watching it. Could pop off anytime there was some significant movement. Over here around the Tonga area, most of this activity there from earlier this morning time frame and yesterday. We haven't really seen a return of earthquake activity here yet. Most of the movement throughout the day today, at least in this area of the world, has been around areas just south of the Philippines, as noted, and also around the Banda Sea. A couple fours listed up here on the map. Latest one within this area is a 4.3 earthquake. That one striking, well, it looks like a few hours or so ago. Java Trench, 4.7. Earlier this afternoon time frame, about 21 kilometers deep there. Up around the Myanmar area as well, seeing some activity. 4.5. What do we got over here around the Arabian Sea? The Owen Fracture Zone. Looks like a 4.8. That one coming in earlier this afternoon time frame. And of course, the movement out around off the coast of Morocco. Let's see, what other areas are we kind of watching here? There's a little cluster of earthquakes around the Aleutian Trench, and this kind of got my eye open a little bit earlier today. Most of this activity came to a halt this afternoon. It was kind of kicking up, specifically within this area, some 2s and 3s, including a 4.2 down there about 65 kilometers, but that has since kind of come to a stop. But I think we need to watch this area. Of course, the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench and this portion here of the Aleutian Trench haven't really seen too much large-scale uptick in recent times. Earthquake activity throughout the Alaska region looks very typical up there. Let's see what else we have here. Not anything specific. No major swarms noted throughout the west coast, just aside from the Clear Lake volcanic field, which that's very normal. The tremor map is noted was pretty quiet tonight, and Yellowstone swarming a little bit. Let's go ahead and check out the hazard notification system here. Across the area, HVO. Of course, they put out their update earlier this morning. There's no update. I mean, no major changes here noted at the Mauna Loa volcano. Things are still kind of just being watched pretty closely. But aside from that, just kind of at a current pause at the moment, as far as the activity goes. All right, let's see what else we got here. Space weather event, kind of a change here. They added on a G1 class storm, potentially on the 23rd of October. Now, that is in response to this coronal hole, number 34, which is kind of currently lined up with us on the southern portion of the sun. But I don't think that's going to give us too much of a blow, a glancing blow, so to speak, in terms of the solar wind. I mean, I think it's just going to barely miss us. But again, we'll have to watch it and see how it plays out. But they have forecasted a G1 class storm. Looks like potential for some elevated conditions too prior and after the October 23rd time frame. There is a little bit of sunspot activity kicking up currently, and I'm pretty certain I know where it's coming from. You can actually kind of see it down here off of this sunspot, brightening up a little bit. Notice that right there, flaring a little bit. And that is from sunspot, looks like 31, or actually 3128 up here, I believe. And the current solar flare activity looks like it's climbing into the C class category. Nothing major, but it is sparking up a little bit and creating a little bit of radio blackout here across Australia and the Indonesia area. Kind of where all our earthquake activity is occurring. They're on the sunlit side of the planet. But I don't think it's going to get too big. It doesn't look like a massive flare, just a minor C flare kicking up here. And there was a 55% chance of a C flare, 5% chance for an M flare, and less than 1% on the X and the proton events there. A little update looks like minor G1 storm watch. Let's see. Although much of the solar wind stream flowing from the zone will likely flow to the south of Earth, an interaction without geomagnetic field is still likely. Without geomagnetic field is still likely by October 23rd and into the 24th. So a little bit of maybe. That sounds about right. But then again, we'll see how this plays out, right? I don't think we're looking at any major potentials here. Current aurora forecast there, very minimal at the higher latitudes. Looks like maybe around Iceland, Greenland, and then the portions of northern Canada. And of course, down on the southern portion of the sun, or the sun on the Earth. If you're down in Antarctica, whoo, I don't think the auroras would be. I mean, you might be able to see them, but gosh darn it, it gets cold down there. Speaking of weather, we're supposed to have some cooler temperatures here coming into California. Which is good news because I'm tired of the heat. Just a quick look at the GEPS model here, showing a low pressure system dipping down out of Canada, bringing with it quite a bit of cold air. A pretty large low pressure system here along the Pacific Northwest and into Northern California here. Not going to bring with it much rain, but much colder temperatures, talking about in the upper 60s and low 70s, and that is going to be consistent over the next at least 10 days as this low pressure system kind of wraps around and continues to develop these centers of low pressure here directly over Oregon and Washington, but again extending down into Northern California. And kind of looks like high pressure builds back a little bit, but then towards November, first week of November, maybe about the first week of November, we get another low pressure system moving in. So I'm okay with that. Looks like over along the East Coast, things might be getting a little bit warmer for you guys. But you know what? We've had our heat here along the West Coast. So it's our turn to enjoy some cooler temperatures and hopefully a little bit of rain in that forecast. I mean, I don't think there's going to be too much. Here is the 24-hour precipitation map here. Notice that there's a little bit of activity here stretching into Oregon and Northern California, just very light, generally light amounts here throughout the area over that 24-hour period. But of course, Oregon and Washington along the coastline there, and the Cascades, west of the Cascades, about the Cascades westward. Anything east of that, you get that rain shadow on the eastern side of the Cascades. But at least we have chances of rain. I'll take that over 115 degrees any day. I'm not even joking. I'm done with summer. I don't want it to ever come back, to be honest. I'm not a heat person. Not at all. All right, what else we got here on the EMSC model here on the Earthquake 3D globe? There's a 3.3 kind of creeping up a little bit towards the Middle America Trench, northwest of the area of our current aftershock activity, following the 6.7 there off the coast of Panama. Still kind of watching that area pretty closely there. That's a pretty large quake in that area with only a minor adjustment right now across the Middle America Trench. So we'll watch that. See if anything else is popping up here on the EMSC model. There's that deep earthquake activity around the Band of Sea. And of course, looks like some movement around Turkey. Also had a 1.3 over here. Let's see where that's at exactly. 1.3. Slovenia. Is that right? Hopefully. Just a little small microquake in that area. Aside from that, yeah, we'll just be on guard and keep our eyes open. Eyes open, ears open. Have an earthquake plan, of course, no matter where you're at. And right now, earthquake activity is generally about average, as far as just any given day. I'm not seeing any specific major unusual activity across the globe that could indicate, something building up. Just right now, it's kind of spread out all over the place. Either way, we'll watch the Big Island out there for sure, and a couple of our quiet zones up there around the Kuril-Kamchatka and the Aleutian Trench. Have a good night, folks. Stay safe out there Friday night. I know it's kind of a crazy night, but I'm going to stay inside and watch a movie with Missy Mimi's, and that will be it. No partying for this guy, that's for sure. Have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys a little bit later on. Stay safe out there. Peace out.